Are you a longtime tea drinker? Do you want to get into drinking teas? Are you not sure how to do it properly? Or have you had side effects like GI upset when you drink certain types of teas like green tea or matcha? So today I want to just kind of get into the science behind drinking tea, how to properly steep your tea, the temperatures, why it matters. Because if you are drinking tea for gut healing or cramps or whatever it may be that you've been told, oh, just drink tea and it'll make you feel better. If you're doing it wrong, which I see it a lot in my practice where people come in and they say, oh, I tried to drink green tea and it just tore me up. And I'm like, well, are you boiling the water? And they're like, well, yeah. No, don't do that. So what's the difference between an infusion, a decoction, and like a cold infusion or cold brew? The differences are going to impact the benefits that you get out of these teas. So an infusion is what we call tea. It's a quick steep in hot water. Basically, you're using those soft parts of the plant, which is going to be the leaves or the flowers, and that's going to be steeped anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes depending on what you got in there. I usually keep mine around 3 to 5 minutes, and I am very particular about not boiling my water. If I do boil my water, I'm still letting it like calm down a little bit. Chamomile, peppermint, nettle, raspberry, black tea, green tea, I'll get into that, hibiscus, rose petal, holy basil, or echinacea. So those are ones that you can actually preserve those volatile oils and prevent tannin over extraction, but it depends on the temperature. Certain compounds in like green tea and black tea that are called tannins, and those are polyphenic compounds, and those can stimulate bile, which is why a lot of my patients will say like, oh, I just had to run to the bathroom or upset my stomach. Especially for people that are bile sensitive, temperature does matter. So you don't want to just boil it to high heaven and it tear your stomach up, or you're just killing those compounds. What's the point? And then a decoction is a simmer. So that's going to be for the roots, the seeds, or the bark. And what you do is you add that in a pot on the stove and you bring that to a simmer. Not a boil, but a simmer. And you put the lid on and you cover that for about 10 to 30 minutes. And what that does is pulling those constituents out that are having those healing properties, because it's a little bit harder to tap into those. So to recap on the decoctions, you can also do dried berries. I didn't mention that. Best herbs or woody parts for that, or dried berries, is going to be ginger, turmeric, cramp bark, burdock, astragalus, dandelion root, chaga, mushroom, hawthorn, even cardamom pods. Cold brew are for those kinds of constituents that are very sensitive to heat. For example, slippery elm, marshmallow root, aloe vera, licorice root. These compounds will be diminished in their healing properties if they are exposed to heat. We're really looking at, it's called a mucopolysaccharide, and so these are long chain sugar molecules, and these are destroyed by heat. And what they do is they provide a gel-like protective coating to the mucous membranes in the throat, the stomach, the intestinal lining, and it can have a very calming effect on the GI. I want to cold infuse those. You can do room temp as well. So what you do is you can fill up a mason jar and put 1 to 2 tablespoons is usually the norm on how much you're putting in there. Put it on the counter for 4 to 12 hours. Some people do it more than that. Or you can pop it in the fridge overnight. I usually do an overnight brew, 12 to 18 hours, but that's just me on what I'm wanting out of it.